What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fischbein, and we got Dennis Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
What up?
What up? What up? It's been a couple weeks, and there's been some shit going down in the NBA world.
I took some Metamucil gummies. We got a state of emergency here. We got a
State of emergency.
Got a big snowstorm coming.
Oh shit! How big is it supposed to be?
Not a lot. It's like 2 feet.
If it was 2 feet, it's funny because in like geographical terms, we're really not that far south of you. And if it was 2 feet here, people would be going insane.
No, to us, it's like people just like to. It doesn't really bother people that much, but just people like to use an excuse to not go to work and not do other things.
I mean, to be fair, I would probably use it as an excuse too. So I get it.
Hey, we'll see what happens,
True. So that's why your daughter didn't have school and you might still have work.
Right, like I said, tentatively. We'll see.
Right.
Sometimes you just can't get out of the driveway.
True. See, that's another thing why I just think working remotely is just more beneficial for the world, but I guess other people don't agree.
Well, what sucks is I'm glad I don't work remotely. Because then even if you can't physically be at work, then they will still expect you to be working.
That's true.
So then you just gotta hope like power outage or something.
Right. I guess for your guys' case, you probably do get a little more like snow days off than we do. Because even when we weren't working fully remotely, we still had laptops, so even if we did get a lot of snow, they were just like, make sure you have your laptop home. So at that rate, I'm just like, just let me work from home the whole time.
Right, that's the go-to phrase. Bring your laptops with you. You're like, oh shit, I forgot it.
I know. There was one time where I legit was just like, I didn't bring it. I don't know. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, so it's cold as shit as usual, March. Which is, it's that time of year.
Right.
Just when you start to think things turn a corner, it's March and you're crushed with snow. But that's okay. We're okay with it.
Hopefully it's the last of it, at least.
Probably not, but, whatever.
Well, in that case, let's jump in. I mean, let's just jump into one of the biggest news topics that's been going on here, because it's been a lot so far, and since we missed last week, we missed the start of it. But it's still going on. Ja Morant now losing some sponsorships. He's still away from the team. I don't know if there's still been like an announcement or not about how many games he's going to miss, but he said he's gonna go get some help and everything like that. And
well, how are you gonna help? Like, what are you gonna do to help yourself? Sorry to cut you off, but what are you gonna do? Like, what's he planning on doing that's gonna impact him not bringing guns places and him not hanging out with a bunch of Crips or whatever, allegedly, or whatever he's hanging out with? What does he plan on doing that's gonna make him a better person?
Yeah, I mean, because this doesn't sound like a therapy thing. Like, this doesn't sound like he has mental problems or anything like that. He's just making bad decisions.
He does. If you go on Instagram, if you're in the MVP conversation for the last 2-3 years and you show up on Instagram live and you pull a gun out, I mean, obviously you have mental problems.
I mean, true. I guess just not like, diagnosed ones or anything like that, but it just sounds like he's just a terrible decision maker outside of the game of basketball right now. And I mean, when things first started, coming up in the news about him and everything, I gave him the benefit of the doubt a little bit because he's younger. His friends probably are still like the same age, and they're making dumb decisions as well, and they're trying to like do things on behalf of Ja that he's not necessarily asking them to do and things like that. So I was giving him the benefit of the doubt at first.
You're
But
giving
then,
way too much credit.
I mean, probably am, but I was giving him all that benefit of the doubt. And then the thing that just didn't make sense to me is now you're under investigation from the NBA with all of these things happening, especially after the thing about the 17-year-old kid that he was playing basketball with and he pulled a gun out and like punched him or whatever. You're under investigation for all these things. And then you go on Instagram Live and pull out a gun in a, like, not even while you're at home in Memphis. It was after an away game in Denver. And you do all of this while your name is in the news for all these things and you're being investigated for all these things. That right there, like, at the very least, you should be like, all right, let me lay low. At the very least.
So here's what I think happened. And I'm usually I'm pretty on top of, I'm pretty good with this type of stuff. Like I can call things like this pretty well. Right. Being away from the team to get help means we want you away from the team while the investigation process is going on. It means that we don't want you around the team because we are at the point to where we're getting concerned with what's been going on. Right. So we want you to go. Get help. Well, you're not going to get help for that kind of situation. The only way you could fix that type of situation is surround yourself with better people. And the Grizzlies, if there's so much of a character concern, they need to get people around him constantly to monitor what he's doing. They need to surround him. Kind of like how the San Francisco Giants, they put somebody around to follow Pablo Sandoval around so he didn't eat a bunch of shit. It's the same thing here, but just with guns, So that's he's got to surround himself with better people. But you and I had talked about this maybe a couple months ago when the whole Shannon Sharp thing went down. How that wasn't a good look for him, even though it wasn't really like directly him involved in, you know what I mean? It was still, it still kind of like highlighted the culture of what's been going on in the Grizzlies lately when you talk about Dillon Brooks and John Morant. And then these stories come out before this one about how there was an incident with the Pacers, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, to where somebody threatened somebody.
They were shining like laser pointers on somebody, like reenacting like it was a gun.
Right, it laser, and I'm going to use quotation because we don't know if it's a laser, great, but
allegedly.
So that kind of went away, and now you have this story about Ja picking a fight and allegedly brandishing a weapon toward a 17-year-old. Then you have this other report of an alleged altercation or an encounter with somebody who went to his sister's school, and right. He had showed up. You have this stuff going on now with how he had a weapon with him in Denver, which we don't know. Did he board the plane with the gun? What is he doing with a gun? Like, why does he need a gun? It's never a good situation whenever you involve guns. Who knows if he's carrying it legally? Crossing state lines with a weapon. Every state is different in terms of how they handle whether you're allowed to carry a firearm or not, whether it be concealed, open. Like, this is all different from state to state. Oh, then on top of that, you have, were there any laws that were broken that they're still being investigated that nobody's talking about? And then we also have possible rules from the league that possibly is still being looked into. So I don't know if Morant's going to be back this season. I think this might be a kind of thing where they kind of just keep like putting it off a little bit, but I feel like there's more that's going to be coming out to this story. And I feel like there's going to be more stuff that is going to come out that isn't going to sit well with people. And it's a real shame if this is the direction that this is going. Because, like I said, he's arguably a top 10 player in the league. He's always mentioned at least a couple times a season as being the MVP.
Right.
And now it just seems that this is going in a horrible direction. And we had talked about that too, like how even back then, 2 months ago, it was like, this is not a good situation. This is, and this kind of just reaffirms what we were saying.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, too, if you don't want people digging in your personal life or your off-court, activities, then the best way to do that is to not do dumb shit. At least just don't do dumb shit, like, in the public eye. Do it at home or something.
Like, why can't he just, like, go to strip clubs and blow a lot of money?
Right.
Like a normal person.
Right.
But then you hear this report, too, I read somewhere, where speaking of that, he went to some restaurant and somebody said he's the nicest guy ever, but he dropped like a $50,000 tip.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Very nice of you. However, how much, if he's dropping $50,000 in one night, what else is the guy doing with his money? Shaquille O'Neal talked about this kind of stuff. There are plenty of players in the league who went broke, bankrupt, because they couldn't handle getting all that money. And he has a lot of money, or at least he should have a lot of money. But
right.
The way it's, I hope it doesn't turn into one of these stories where he gets ousted from the league, he never comes back, and then 5 years later you hear he's working at Starbucks.
I know. And especially because like he literally is having everything going for him up to this moment where like since Nike dropped Kyrie, they gave Ja Morant his own signature shoe. He was starting to become like the young face of the league because he's like the high flying, super exciting MVP caliber player. He's bringing the Grizzlies into, one of the best eras that they've been in for a little while now. Like literally has everything laid out for him to make tons and tons of money. And this string of bad decisions and mistakes could just make that all go away, which is terrible. Like you'd never want that to happen to anybody. But it's just like someone, if it's not himself, has to just like say, dude, just relax for a little bit. Like, you can go just a few months without doing something dumb. Just chill at home.
Well, his dad always seems like he's around, but what's he doing? He doesn't seem like he helps the situation.
I was about to say, they haven't even spoken of him in a while, actually.
So the guy's 23 years old, right? I know a lot of times people say when somebody's 18, they're, an adult, but still, even at 23, looking back at 23, like, you don't realize how all the dumb shit you do when you're that young. Like, I just think he's had way too much success too quickly. He's had way too much money thrown at him, and I just don't think he knows how to handle it.
I agree. And
that's why you need, smart people around you who can kind of steer you in the right direction.
Right. And Tyler here says Ja's going to make it out of the NBA. Yeah, the memes about Ja Morant trying to get out of the NBA are
Tyler,
funny, to be honest. Glad to have you back, though, Tyler. And Muhammad, also glad to have you back. And he said, yeah, because he's a very young guy. And that's true. I mean, like you just said, when you're 23 years old, you're still learning life. You're still doing dumb shit, learning from your mistakes, understanding what you can and can't do. But the difference between him compared to us is he's in the spotlight. So your dumb shit is broadcasted. Our dumb shit can just be within our group of friends or to ourselves. And so when you are that young, you have to have somebody in your corner, whether it's a teammate, a parent, an agent, anybody, to tell you, like, yo, cool it down a little bit here. Like, the Grizzlies even had like a players only meeting with Steven Adams at the helm as like the veteran of the team, and he was trying to help everybody, all the young guys out on the team, and they just kind of blew him off. John Morant was like one of the people that reportedly said that like he just wasn't paying attention, wasn't listening to anything he had to say, and wasn't taking any of his words to heart. Which is like, at that point, you're not going to accept help from anybody.
He was being too nice. If he went over and picked him up by his throat, maybe he would have paid attention.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Steven Adams wanted to get attention, I'm sure he could have got his attention.
Oh, 1,000.
That entire team, it's going to take that entire team to take him down.
I know.
But which Steven Adams hasn't played, so who knows what, like, is he not playing now because he's really hurt, or is he just not happy?
Right. I mean, it could be a combination of the two.
Why am I going to break my balls when nobody else really cares?
Exactly. And like we have reiterated, we don't want this kind of thing to happen to John Morant or any young guy in the league. And it's just sad to watch from the outside looking in. And that is why, like I was telling you, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt at first because, like, yeah, we've all been 23 and done stupid stuff. But it got to a certain point where all the stuff, like, just kept racking up that it's like, okay, at some point when things come out in the news, you got to think to yourself, maybe I should, take a step back for a second. Maybe I should just give it a chill pill here. Like, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Well, with all the people in this world who need money, and the fact that you're blowing your money, and, there's so many people in need these days who, like, and I'm not talking like people who just don't work because they're lazy and they want to live off the system. I'm talking about like people who have a disability. I'm talking about, and when you think about it too, like, he's a black male. So it's kind of harder for, and I'll choose my words wisely here, but a lot of black guys don't have the same opportunities that he did or have the chance to make that kind of money.
For sure.
So the fact that he's, and I don't blame him entirely because he's very young, but it's kind of hard to even root for him though when he's doing stupid stuff. And there's a lot of guys who are begging to just, pay off a mortgage and they're going and working these crappy jobs and they're making peanuts and they're trying to do their best. And this guy gets to play basketball for a career. I guess it's very grueling, but at the end of the day, it's still a game. And you get paid millions of dollars to play basketball, and he's not appreciating the position that he's in. He's not using his platform to make people's lives better. He could be doing so much better things with his money. He could be making, if you want to blow 50,000, give 50,000 to somebody who needs it, and you'll see how quickly that just changes their life forever. So
exactly. And the thing is too, like, I know he is a good guy, like, at heart, because you see all the good stories. You see, like, the big tip you said he left at a restaurant, or like all the stories about him and doing stuff for the local kids in Memphis and stopping to sign autographs and give kids like shoes and jerseys and things like that. Like he is a good guy at heart and everything, but at some point you also have to then also think, maybe I need to be a role model. Maybe I need to clean up some of the things that I'm doing, at least broadcasting on social media, so that, I can keep getting more endorsements and keep getting this and that. And like, I understand the other side of the argument in the fact that, like, why do people who get sponsorships and all this kind of stuff have to act a certain type of way? Because you should be able to have your own personality and have the opportunity to get this stuff. And I agree with things like that because, like, you should be able to have your own personality and not always have to be this buttoned up, super clean, never does anything, never says anything kind of person just to have these kind of opportunities. But that only goes to a certain point. You can have your own style, your own way of doing things, and your own way of, pretty much anything. But when it starts to come down to the fact where you're being a terrible role model for kids, because whether you want to be a role model or not, kids look up to sports figures, celebrities, things like that when they're growing up, and they want to do the things that they do. They want to make the money that they make. They want to date the girls. They want to get the clothes, the jewelry, all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I want big chicks too. Well, I did want to big chicks, but I mean, I still do, but I'm married. But what I'm saying is that, hell yeah, he's 23. He's in the prime. He's at his peak.
Oh yeah.
He wants to get at it. He's a successful guy. He's a good looking dude. So hell yeah, he wants to get bag chicks. I don't blame him.
Right.
I'd walk around with a gun to do that. I mean, the guy has enough to get women with. He doesn't need to add any more and walk around with a gun.
No, I agree. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't blame him for him wanting all that kind of stuff. But, like, the kids watching him want to do all that kind of stuff as well. And that's why you start to lose sponsorships and everything. Because all of these companies that align themselves with you, if you have certain ideals that they don't, they're going to cut you. No matter what you might complain about, say, do, whatever. And then on top of that, the NBA starts to look bad because they want newer generations of fans, newer generations of players, all that kind of stuff. So they, like, if you keep going that route, the NBA could make an example. And while I don't think Adam Silver is the kind of guy, I think that John Morant's actually pretty lucky that David Stern is not the commissioner, because I feel like David Stern would make a prime example. Rest in peace, yes. I think he would make a prime example out of John Morant, just like he did with Gilbert Arenas. I think he would, because there's a rule that if you bring a gun on any sort of team plane or team facility or anything, it's an automatic 50-game suspension. David Stern made that rule after the whole Gilbert Arenas thing. So if it is proven that he took that gun on the plane to Denver, he could be suspended for 50 games. So like you said, not back the rest of this season and out for maybe even half of next season.
I think that's the direction we're probably going, to be honest with you. I just think there's more to come. Agreed. Things are too quiet right now, but I don't think this is going to die down. But that Tyus Jones investment, backup point guard in the league, should be a starter. Thank God they get Tyus Jones.
Looking good now.
Yep, that Tyus Jones, man. But just, knock it off.
I know.
Morant, go see a sick kid, and I would. There's so many people who would just love to have a chance to go make a difference for like sick kids.
Exactly.
That would be almost.
There's just so many people. There's so many people that would like to be in this situation for a fraction of the money that he's getting, let alone the money that he's getting. So like,
yeah. Go but see before a kid and then go get your girl afterward. Yeah.
Before we move on to one of John Morant's teammates, Tyler says here, on the topic of young athletes making mistakes, have you heard about the Jamar Chase drama? I haven't, but I'm assuming.
No, I haven't. What's?
I have not heard of any Jamar Chase drama. Let's see. Let's do a quick Google search here.
I'm a Bengals guy, and I haven't heard anything. Was something just apparent?
So, Jamar Chase's ex-girlfriend claims to have evidence to, quote, end wide receiver's career in since deleted post. That's really all it is. It's just her.
So you would automatically, the first thing you think of like some domestic violence type of shit.
That's what it's sounding like. Yeah.
But then generally, when that type of stuff happens, they, after the heat of passion wears off, and they realize that their cash guys, you're messing with your potential cash. This dude's due to make a lot of money, so making those accusations are strong accusations. So if you're gonna make them, but don't walk them back. Now, if he did it, he's a piece of shit. But if somebody did it, he's a piece of shit. But if he didn't do it, somebody's making those accusations, she's a piece of shit.
Yep. Nope. Completely agree. So,
but just don't hit your girls. Jesus Christ, how hard is that?
There's a lot of stupid shit athletes do that shouldn't be hard not to do.
I mean, I know women are tough. I mean, Jesus Christ, but some of these women will kick the shit out of you. But
true.
Just keep your hands off everybody. Stop bringing guns places.
Agreed. Why can't we just all live and just chill and have a good time?
Bang chicks.
Yeah. So moving on to John Morant's teammate, Dillon Brooks.
Oh, God.
Obviously, none of us like him. A lot of the internet hates him.
When you told me what we were talking about, I really didn't pay much of attention because I just kind of wanted to fly off the cuff with these topics.
Uh-huh.
So that, oh, God, was genuine.
So, did you see some of the things that Draymond Green said about Dillon Brooks?
I mean, I honestly, I saw some stuff and I didn't even pay attention to it because I don't care what Draymond Green has to say and I don't really care what Dillon Brooks has to say.
Fair enough.
They're both idiots.
Definitely fair enough. Tyler says Dillon Brooks is about to be the most hated athlete of all time. I mean, he definitely is one of the most annoying.
He's getting up there.
I know, which is crazy because a lot of the most hated athletes are either the ones that are so good that they're hard to beat, like Tom Brady, or they're ones that have done some terrible shit.
Well, generally, though, guys, I was thinking about it, though, remember when everybody hated Tom Brady and then toward the end of the career, everybody loved him?
Yeah.
And then same with, Patrick Mahomes. Nobody can stand that guy.
No, true.
And
that's what I mean. Those guys,
around with his idiot brother.
Tons of people still hate LeBron just because he's that good.
Yeah, LeBron's going to be one of those guys who'll go away and people are going to go, oh, shit, LeBron's gone.
I know. They're going to realize the greatness after it is left. But that's beside the point. Anyway, Dillon Brooks is really just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Draymond Green, Dillon Brooks said some things about Draymond Green not being a great player in a post-game interview, I believe it was. And then Draymond Green goes on his own podcast and starts talking about Dillon Brooks and starts saying how the team is never going to win a championship because of him. His teammates don't even trust him to be that good. Nobody respects him. His teammates don't respect him. All that kind of stuff. And to be honest, if I had to pick one of the two to be on, any team I was forming or my favorite team, I would still, at this point, pick Draymond Green over Dillon Brooks.
I'd retire. I had to play with either of those morons.
But
I think Draymond is. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. You didn't even interrupt.
No, I was just gonna say Draymond, sure, talks a lot and is also an asshole, but Draymond has all of the accolades, the stats, and everything to at least back up some of his trash.
Draymond used to be good.
Exactly. Draymond is a defensive player of the year.
Triple-double guy.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
And whether whether you like count it or not for being on some great teams, he still is a 4-time champion.
Well, he's also done a lot of stupid shit, like
True.
get suspended that probably cost his team another ring when he got suspended during the finals against the Cavaliers.
Also true.
Like, I bring that up all the time because whenever anybody talked about Draymond Green just being a moron, that's right there. Punches Jordan Poole in the face, whether he deserved it or not. He still punched him in the face. And then he wanted to go away to get help. Like, what are you getting help for? Like, now you're going to get help for punching somebody? Like, what are you going to do?
Everyone needs to go get help.
For real. But I think Draymond Green, though, is giving Dillon Brooks, like, way too much credit. Like, Draymond took the bait. Because Dillon Brooks not even that important.
No,
if Dillon
not
Brooks
at all.
wasn't, like, fighting people, nobody would give two fucks about Dillon Brooks.
Dillon Brooks is like the 5th or 6th most important player on the team.
Steven Adams is more important. Jaren Jackson, even when Jaren Jackson's injured for the 4th or 5th time, he's more important. Desmond Bane is certainly more important.
John Morant's more important.
Tyus Jones is more important when Tyus Jones is more important when Morant gets suspended or injured like he seems to do every year. Fuck, David Roddy's probably more important than him at this point. John Conchar is probably more important. Xavier Tillman's probably more important. Brandon Clark with a torn Achilles is more fucking important. Safety Aldama is more fucking important. Luke Kennard is more important. That entire team is more important than Dillon Brooks.
Exactly. And it's like...
And I'm mad at myself because I feel like I missed 2 Grizzlies. I wanted to name the whole team.
But it's also just like... Dillon Brooks is one game he might, do something offensively. One game he might do something defensively. He's never consistent in any way, shape, or form.
No.
And he's not even like the top defensive player on the team, bulldog kind of like talk trash, but also lock down your team's best player kind of defender. Like, at least, you got guys like, I was never really a fan of Patrick Beverley, but at least he plays fucking defense. He shows up every day. He played, a lot of games when he was a little bit younger, but like, he talks his shit and he backs it up by like being one of the best defenders on the team. You got Draymond, who's the same way. You got, all these other top defenders that talk a lot of shit, or these top players overall that talk a lot of shit, whatever it may be. Dillon Brooks is none of those. He's not a top defender. He's not a top offensive player. He's not an MVP candidate. He's not top for anything, but thinks he can still talk a whole bunch of shit and it be called for. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. And it really, like, I honestly don't see anybody online talking about how they like Dillon Brooks unless they're a Grizzlies fan. Those are the only people that say anything good about Dillon Brooks.
Zaire Williams is more important. Jake LaRivia is more important. Kenneth Lofton Jr. is more important.
Oh, Kenneth Lofton Jr. is the man. He's definitely more important.
They're all more important. Dillon Brooks is a waste of space. And the fact that Draymond Green, who has multiple championship rings, is even resorting to even having a rebuttal about anything that Dillon Brooks says isn't doing him any favors.
Oh, agreed.
But at the end of the day, when you're just as moronic as Dillon Brooks is, that's expected.
True. So on Basketball Reference, here is a list of Draymond's accolades. 4-time All-Star, a steal champ in 2016-17, 4-time NBA champ, 2-time All-NBA, 7-time All-Defensive, and the 2016-17 Defensive Player of the Year.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Dillon Brooks, 0 accolades of anything.
Right.
The only thing he gets is stupidest hairstyle and most annoying.
Biggest moron on the planet.
Like, he is, and I've had him a few times in fantasy leagues, and he
Doesn't even do
annoys
shit
me.
there.
He annoys me even more in fantasy basketball, let alone real basketball.
Right. My fantasy is he'd fall off a cliff and go away.
Exactly.
Because he's a moron. Same with Draymond Green. He's an idiot.
I know. I can, like, that's the thing. I can stand guys' bullshit if they can back it up.
I mean, Draymond could back it up 6 years ago.
True. At this point, he's not really doing shit, and Golden State's feeling the effects of it.
He's delusional, though. He thinks he should be making this a shit ton of money still.
I know.
Like, sorry, honey, don't work that way. You ain't worth it. You're hurt.
Agreed.
Your production's crap. You're more interested in podcasts and being on TV. So go join the Lakers, because we know that's what you want to do anyways.
True. You might as well. So, moving on from
Thank you.
From those two idiots. So there's talk in the new CBA about suggesting that there is a minimum for games played to qualify for major awards, such as like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, things like that.
What's that going to be, 30 games?
Honestly, I think they should just go to minutes.
I agree, because you could, he played 2 minutes, okay. He's off for the night.
Yeah.
He's starting, he runs back and forth, and then he's,
1 second. I think my dog's chewing on something she shouldn't be.
Oh, okay. So what the... Yeah, so these players are morons. I guess I'll talk to Tyler here and Mohammed, but these guys are morons. So the fact that the league has to even try to come up with some way to make these guys play is a joke to me.
Yeah.
So you heard that?
Yeah, I have my headphones in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. I could hear you. Sorry, she was chewing on a box that had wedding stuff in it, and if she ruined that, I know I'd be in trouble.
Yes. My dog ate a bowl of meatball grease and has been throwing up all day long.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Call the vet, though. Everything's supposed to be okay, but,
They had diarrhea a couple weeks ago because they...
So did I.
Because they decided while at the in-laws to eat an entire box of packets of oatmeal.
Yeah, I've done it.
Dry oatmeal.
Yeah, I've considered it at least.
So, yeah, no shortage.
Not one of those things that you need to put like a bunch of shit in. Like one of my favorite things ever is like peanut butter and oatmeal. Like peanut butter and oatmeal mixed together with like some fruit.
Oh, I agree. But at least like you put some water in it, heat it up, and like make the oatmeal.
But there are people who just eat dry oatmeal and they almost choke to death on it.
I that's the thing. I don't know how people do it.
You've heard of that, right?
Yeah, and I don't understand. Because I would probably choke on it because it's so dry.
Right. I mean, it's a challenge enough as it is when it's like cooked, because it after a while it like morphs together again, and then it's just one big clump. So I don't know. Peanut butter is good to add into it because it kind of like tastes fantastic and it like counteracts it. So
I agree.
But it ain't no dinosaur oatmeal where they got the little dinosaurs in there.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
You ever seen those? There's dinosaur eggs in there. You pour the hot water on, and then there's little dinosaurs.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds cool.
It's not healthy for you, but it's fun.
I mean, a lot of those things probably aren't.
It's like Fruity Pebbles. If Fruity Pebbles was like a diet food, I would be the healthiest guy on the planet.
Oh, Fruity Pebbles are the best.
It's the fucking best.
Reese's Puffs and Cocoa Puffs, too. Those are my shit.
Fruity Pebbles and even Cocoa Pebbles are, without a doubt, the best
Oh, Cocoa Pebbles were great too.
Frosted Flakes, fantastic. Mm-hmm. Captain Crunch, it cuts your mouth open whenever you eat it.
True, but Captain Crunch was still my favorite, especially with the Crunch Berries. That was my shit.
They were making them with all berries.
True. They even have the peanut butter Captain Crunch. That was really good also.
Around the holidays, actually, speaking of that, they had Smart Pop came out with popcorn mixed with Captain Crunch.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they had Crunch Berries in it.
Fuck, I'm going to have to get that next time.
I know, rock hard right there when I saw that.
I just got rock hard hearing about it.
I had to walk around the grocery store with like a book in front of me.
Trench coat.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the CBA.
Fuck the CBA. I'm so sick of hearing about the CBA because all they talk about is all this stupid shit's going to happen. Players want more money to play less. It is a joke.
I know.
It's a joke.
And the games played thing, I think, is misleading too, because then I bet you what's going to happen is if a player still wants to be in that race, but they want to take a rest day, they're going to be in to start the game, play a minute, and just not play the rest of the game.
They're going to run back and forth down the court twice, and that's it.
Exactly. Like, everyone always finds a way to game that kind of stuff. So they're gonna end up doing that too. So that's why I think they should just make it minutes played.
Figure out. Just tell people to play and quit being a bunch of assholes and get on the floor.
Yeah, I mean
that. How about that?
That too. But yeah, I mean they should just figure out how many minutes it is, to average around, like for MVP, average 30 or more minutes a game for 60 games, and say you have to play this many minutes.
Like if they had like normal sick time like normal people do,
right?
Like they would be broke at this point with some of these guys.
Oh, I know. I agree.
I mean, how would you like to just walk into a job and say, my knee hurts a little bit? That's what. Same thing. Charles Barkley said that, and who else said that? That I sent it to you.
I forget.
Oh,
someone else.
Said it. Couple.
Shaq or somebody. Stephen A.
No, that's Stephen A. Jalen Rose said that. Same thing.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? These guys are like, for one, those two guys, like back when those guys were playing, everybody was playing. Not to be like, whoa, that could my day. These young whippers, not to be like that guy, but
right.
You guys
but it's true.
Like a bunch of pussies for crying out loud. Like they never want to play.
I know, and it's like, it's just. Why? But then the funny thing is, they go through all these rest days, all these people have all these rest days, and then when it gets to award season, everyone's like, well, he didn't play this amount of games, and he didn't play that amount of games, but this guy played really well. And when it comes to the All-Star game, they're like, we'll still vote him in, even though he hasn't played 20, that he's only played like 20 or 30 games. It's like, which is it? Is it bad that he hasn't played a lot of games? Is it understandable because he's taking some rest days like Kawhi? Like,
well, look at all the morons who made the All-Star team.
Right.
Who didn't deserve it versus guys who should have been on the All-Star team.
Exactly.
Who actually fucking play.
And that, like, there should be some sort of, like, define what you need. Do you need your MVP to satisfy certain things or not? Stop going back and forth about, well, he played this amount of games, but, like, that doesn't really matter because he still impacted his team. So, like, come up with an understanding. Say he has to play this many games or this many minutes, and he has to, impact the game, blah, 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 blah. It's starting to just get ridiculous. Like, because this whole games played and everything starts to bleed into a lot of the other things that people take seriously. So now Jokic is getting a ton of press and everything for averaging a triple-double and all the triple-doubles he had. But Russ, after winning MVP the one time and then averaging a triple-double again the next season, everyone's like, stat patter, like he doesn't, triple-doubles don't care. Why are we hyping up triple-doubles so much, and so on and so forth. But now for Jokic in his possibly third MVP in a row, you want to say, oh, he's doing all these triple doubles and he's putting up all these stats and blah 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 blah. It's like, but you just use that argument against another guy for a new guy now.
Well, you need a clear argument, because if you don't, then you're going to come out with a guy like Kendrick Perkins and just claim everybody's racist, even though most of the MVPs have been black, and it hasn't been till recently that white dudes have won it. And Nikola Jokic. I'm trying to think of other white MVPs. So we got Nikola Jokic, Steve Nash.
Yeah.
It's not had a lot of them, so that's obviously not correct.
Yeah. But did Dirk win an MVP?
I think finals MVP.
Finals MVP, yeah. And then I guess it goes... Does it really go all the way back to Larry Bird after that?
It may.
Because
look at all the MVPs.
Let's see.
Jordan 800 times. Kobe, LeBron, Shaq.
Since 1956, only 8 white players have won MVPs. I just Googled white NBA MVPs.
I mean, talk about racial bias.
So the only white people to win MVPs were Bob Pettit, Bob Cousy, David Cohens, Bill Walton, Larry Bird, Steve Nash, Dirk did win one, and now Jokic.
Okay, so we went from Larry Bird to not again till Steve Nash. So there was, what, 12, 13, 14, 15 years in between? I mean, when did Bird win it? Like 88, 87?
Probably somewhere around there. That's what I was thinking. And then Steve Nash won it around, 2005, 2006?
Yeah, so it's probably 20 years almost.
Larry Bird won... of course, it says 3-time MVP and not the specific years he won.
Yeah, MVP. Who cares? It was 20 years about. Give or take 9 years.
Around there.
Yeah.
Oh, he was MVP the last time in 1986.
Okay.
So, yeah, 1986 to about 2006.
Yeah. So that argument obviously doesn't hold up. And then, I don't know. I mean, it's just, Jokic plays. Jokic is out there. Jokic is probably one of the healthiest big guys I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, the real thing we should be talking about is the fact that the last time a natural-born American white guy that has won an MVP was Larry Bird.
Larry Bird. So there's a bias there too.
So what are white guys? What are all you doing in America? Like, come on. All we got is Alex Caruso right now.
Who do you think the best white guy is in the NBA? Luka?
Non-European?
Yeah, I mean, non-European, I should say. So, who's the best white guy who's not a European?
That's a good question.
Do you think all the white guys, Sabonis, Luka, Jokic?
Yeah. Even Steven Adams isn't from America.
No.
I guess Luke Kennard?
No,
Alex Caruso?
I mean, if the best player that America has for a white guy is Alex Caruso, that's fucking sad.
It's sad. Because I'm really trying to think of it now. I mean, there really aren't. There's T.J. McConnell. There's I can't really. There's the Plumlee. There's.
I mean, this is bad. You really were grasping at straws that bad.
Zeller.
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero probably is the best one. He has to be the best one. Now that I think about it.
And that's pretty fucking bad. Zach LaVine.
Is Zach LaVine white?
I have no idea. I have no idea. So I found this list, though. Here are the top white guys according to Ranker. And shout out to Aaron Hager, whoever that is. Good article, though. Tyler Hero, Kevin Huerter, Walker Kessler, Brooke Lopez, Alex Caruso, Dante DiVincenzo, Austin Reeves, Gordon Hayward, Chet Holmgren, and Luke Kennard are your top 10.
The fact that Chet Holmgren is up in the top 10
Right.
and he hasn't even played a single game.
Right.
Well, okay, we have to put Kevin Love up there. Maybe Kevin Love.
Well, Kevin Love is in his list, but he is number 13. Right after Joe Harris.
After Joe Harris.
Yeah. Peyton Pritchard is on there. I mean, Max Strus, TJ McConnell, Duncan Robinson. When you have Duncan Robinson on your list, that's a bad fucking list.
It's true.
That is a bad list. Like, the white guys, I mean, white guys suck.
They got to step it up. It's funny, too, because in our Dynasty League group chat, we started talking about who would be on the unathletic all-star team of the NBA, and everyone was just naming white people.
Right, American white people.
And it was just like, well, we know who's not athletic.
I mean, imagine if you made a team of some of these European. If you had a starting lineup with Luka, Jokic, and Sabonis.
Oh yeah,
I don't think there's a team. I don't think you could put, LeBron, Giannis, and I still don't think that team could beat that team.
Well, you would have like Luka, Sabonis, Jokic, Bogdanovich,
Porzingis, both Bogdanoviches.
Both Bogdanoviches. That's true.
I would put them on a Europe team.
I mean, who's another
European
guard?
That's what the All-Star team needs to do. That's what the All-Star game should be. The white Europeans versus the NBA All-Stars.
Well, even if you made it just America versus world.
Be a black guys, though, because there wouldn't be any white guys on that NBA All-Star team who are American because they all suck.
That's true. But if you even made it America versus the rest of the world, the rest of the world team is really fucking good. You would have Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, Doncic, Sabonis. You would even have, Rudy Gobert would even be on there.
Giannis in with the NBA. Giannis is, you could tell I'm losing my mind. Yeah, Giannis is European too.
Yeah.
So the Europeans all day would have a field day.
They would be crazy. They'd be really fucking good. But
so you'd have Embiid, Giannis, Jokic, Sabonis, Porzingis, the Bogdanovich boys.
Yep.
Steven Adams.
Yeah. I mean, even you would even have like Nick Batum is a solid role player off the bench.
Yeah, he'd be good. Did I say Luka? Luka.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of a starting line, and boy, this has nothing to do with the CBA, but I like this conversation better.
I do.
If you have Luka, a starting lineup with Luka, Giannis, Sabonis, Jokic, and you can even throw in. Well, there's too many big guys, but still
true. Now you can run Giannis at like shooting guard.
I mean, what the fuck? He plays the point pretty much anyway, so who cares?
Exactly. Technically, Kyrie is Australian.
Yeah, we don't want him on that team.
True.
So is Ben Simmons. We don't want him on that team either.
That takes the whole team down.
But Kyrie's not a real Australian.
Yeah, no. Was he born in Australia or was he born here?
I think he was born in Australia, but
okay,
not really.
But then he moved directly to the United States or something.
Right.
Well, anyway.
So new topic, team. If you put like the American white guys against the world, it's over.
Oh yeah.
The final score would be 196-32.
All in all, American white guys need to step the fuck up. That's bad.
They should just stop playing.
They're all the American white guys are the ones that like stay in college till their senior year, and then the moment they have a chance at the NBA, they just like become terrible. Like Tyler Hansbrough.
Right. So more of the story, do not draft white Americans.
Exactly. You know, actually, someone I just talked about yesterday on Twitter because Dwayne Dedmon made his debut for the Sixers last night. Well,
shit hot. 4 points, I think he had.
I know. But his re-debut, the last time that Dedmon played on the Sixers, the last game he played, the starting 5 included none other than Spencer Hawes. There's a white American guy.
There we go. I was like, I thought he was Australian, but he's so white, I'm thinking of Andrew Bogut.
Oh, yep. But anyway, I brought up Kyrie. We'll talk about him real quick. Kyrie went on a big rant on, I don't know if it was Instagram Live or just Instagram posts or whatever the hell it was, but he started talking about how gambling...
The white Europeans are ruining the NBA.
Could see him say something like that. Gambling and sports betting and everything is ruining the sport of basketball. The basketball isn't really like as pure as it once was, and so on and so forth.
He's in it.
True. And so on and so forth. And he talked about how there's a big difference between somebody who is cheering against somebody just because they placed money on something versus diehard fans for certain teams, which that specific part I do agree with. And I think that the people who bet on games and then like DM players and like talk shit and like threaten them just because they lost their money, those people are degenerates and should know.
Hey, I resent that. Well, it's like
I stand by what I said. What'd you say?
Me, I got to swallow like a I get allergy at this time of day. So like now I can't breathe. Okay, so Isaiah Joe, that fucking guy, I could not do anything. I won't even look in his direction, and he'll have like 36 fantasy points because he'll get a start one day. Like if SGA's out. Anytime SGA's out and I put him in my fantasy lineup, that asshole's getting 12 fantasy points. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people... I started watching basketball. I wasn't even a basketball guy. Like, I just started writing about basketball, and that made me start liking basketball. And now I love basketball. But am I going to lie? I like basketball a lot more because I can set fantasy lineups.
Right.
Because it's fun to me. But it also makes me pay more attention to rotations, depth, players, injuries, like all this stuff. So if anything, it makes people more invested because a lot of people won't watch basketball unless they're gambling on it. It's like the WNBA.
True. I mean, it does, like, gambling and everything does bring more people to basketball that originally wouldn't be there.
And why does he care so much? He never even fucking plays.
That's also true. And honestly...
He should have a minimum amount of games before he can even open his mouth and say something because he's a moron.
But also, like, in this day and age, any person who's in any sort of spotlight should just turn off their social media DMs. Just don't do it altogether.
And you're gonna look at porn on Twitter and tag stuff.
That too.
And
looking at you, Doc Rivers.
Good for
but
him,
it's just
though. At least he uses Twitter for a good reason.
True. At least he's not just
even if
talking
he's into
shit on
tranny,
there.
supposedly, if that's what he's into.
Whatever. You're
excuse
into,
me.
Man.
Transgender females.
Yes. There you go. But it's just like just. And I'm not saying that it's the right thing that, like, people should be, sending hate messages and all this kind of stuff just for losing a basketball game. But it's just the reality of the social media era and the technology era of the world is everybody is literally a finger press away on your phone. People can send DMs to people that you would have never heard a word from ever. But now, in this day and age, you just gotta mute that stuff. You gotta either just never open DMs, never look at your comments, or mute things, whatever it may be, because hate messages are coming any which way, whether it's gambling, diehard fans, anything. So it's just not worth it. And so, but like, it doesn't, it may take away from like the purity of basketball that he's talking about, because like there are a lot of, you know, sports bettors and things looking at it from a purely analytical standpoint and not just for an appreciation of the game of basketball, which,
Well, it's
sure,
hard to appreciate it when guys don't want to play.
No, I agree.
So all of a sudden, fucking Isaiah Joe is interesting. For those who don't care about him, all of a sudden, people give a shit about Isaiah Joe. Because
True.
SGA's out on load management. So why are we going to watch a Thunder game?
True.
You want to watch Lou Dort? I mean, I don't mind. But it's also a lot cooler when I win money in the process.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. I agree with the fact that it's not taking away from the sport of basketball, because it's bringing in people that otherwise wouldn't really watch basketball. And it also gets a lot, like, there's a lot of, you know, TikTok accounts, Instagram accounts, whatever, that straight up just talk about fantasy basketball, betting on basketball, whatever. And they go into a lot of detail on teams they like, players they like, strategies they like, all that kind of stuff that otherwise wouldn't be there. And that unlocks a whole new aspect of the sport that wasn't exactly there before, because you had to bet with like a secret bookie and shit like that.
Right. Fucking your father-in-law, you probably have to go see him. What was it, John?
Yeah.
You have to go see John.
With all the South Philly Italians.
Yeah. Like, what did he get punished or something that he got named John?
I don't know.
Like, we're not giving you an Italian name.
But it's like, but his like full name is like John Paul, so like, you know, still got that Italian sauce on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like overall, I see some of the little points he's trying to make, but overall, it's not a great take.
No, don't even say he did anything good, because I fucking hate him. Can't stand him. He's a moron. If anything, he's taken away from the game because he's a goddamn distraction all the time.
I mean,
so he's an idiot, and I can't wait till he goes away. He's He's always got to chime in when people aren't paying attention to him. He's always got to make something up just so he gets back in the spotlight. I cannot wait till this guy just goes away. For like, just go retire. Don't even retire. It's going to get to a point where nobody's going to want him, and that's it. You're never going to hear from him again because he's such a pain in the ass.
Right.
And it's too bad that, you know, shout out to KD. I hope your ankle feels better.
Yeah, I agree.
No, not really. He deserved everything he fucking got, too. Like, how fragile is KD? He slips on some sweat. He barely. Like, I've seen old people fall down a flight of stairs and get up.
Right.
You know, they're 96 and they have a cane. They fall down 2 flights of stairs. Next thing you know, they break a hip, pop it back into place, and they're back up. You know, going to play bingo. Next thing you know, KD slips, does nothing, and he's out for the rest of the regular season, at least potentially in the playoffs.
I know. I mean, he left in a boot, which is
that is embarrassing.
Ridiculous. Yeah, just on warm-ups. Like, yeah,
he
bad.
didn't even do anything. But you want to know something? I'm glad. I'm extremely happy with Bridges. I'm extremely happy with Dinwiddie. I'm having fun watching Nets games again. Cam Johnson. I love Dorian Finney-Smith. I love Royce O'Neal. They're not going to win a title. but I fucking love the team.
Right.
Because all they don't talk about any of the bullshit anymore. They just talk about what they need to do right and wrong.
They just play basketball.
They just play basketball.
I agree.
And they're not taking away from the game of basketball like somebody was when he was in Brooklyn.
Right. I completely agree. Those are the kind of teams that I love watching as well. So, but to get away from Kyrie, so real quick, the Knicks, they're getting hot. They're getting hot at the right time. They've now had the likes.
Brunson made the All-Star team.
True. They've had the likes of a lot of higher up, well-known analysts and all sorts of things singing their praises these days. Zach Lowe and Bill Simmons and a bunch of people just talking about how the Knicks could be a team that you don't want to mess around with. I mean, I am. It's hard for me to ever say the Knicks are a team you got to be scared of in the playoffs until they finally prove it.
I'm not scared of the Knicks. I'm more scared about like Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson.
Right.
Who, remember when Jalen Brunson was in Dallas and when Luka was hurt every other day like he is now, and Jalen Brunson would come in and score a shit ton of points? And they wanted to keep him, but then he still went to the Knicks, and then everybody's going to go, oh, he's going to suck, blah, blah, blah. Now look what he's doing.
True.
He's pretty goddamn good. I mean, he's been hurt past couple of games, but at least he tried to play. He played 19 minutes 2 games ago before he started, his foot started giving him issues again, and now he's probably going to be out the rest of the road trip. Julius Randle, damn it, is amazing, and the Lakers should. That entire organization's a joke for letting that guy go because he's fantastic.
Oh, hell yeah.
Josh Hart, holy shit, Josh Hart.
Josh Hart has been an amazing fit.
Mitchell Robinson, when he's healthy, he's actually not too bad. He's a good defender, a rebounder. You're not going to really get much else from him.
I just want to say I kept my stock in Emmanuel quickly.
Right, but the problem is like
he's improving.
Like Emmanuel Quickly's good, but then all of a sudden when Brunson comes back, then you're not going to hear anything of Emmanuel Quickly. At least not to this level.
He still is streaky, so he still has some consistency issues, but
yes,
he. I mean, for what I think it's his 3rd season in the league, he's looking better and better every day. So I'll take it.
Yeah, not too bad. Even RJ Barrett's not looking too bad.
True.
I mean, I still would have traded him for Donovan Mitchell, but what the fuck? Who cares?
Could you imagine this team minus RJ Barrett and probably like a couple other pieces, but with Brunson, Mitchell, Randall, and anybody else?
Just anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if they got Josh Hart with those 3.
Yeah, well, I like the Hart Brunson combo. Those guys look like they're like happy playing with each other. As weird as that sounded just now, but
they're old college teammates, so they're good friends.
Yeah, but I said they're happy playing with each other, so
no, I know.
It sounded like they were, doing
Doc Rivers things,
making the sex. Yeah, so, but yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna buy into the Knicks yet just because it's fucking Knicks. But there are worse teams that have done better that I wish didn't do as well. I don't hate the Knicks. I just hate the front office of the Knicks.
I know.
I hate their owner. Their owner's a bonehead.
Always hated the owner.
He's a moron.
Always hated the front office there.
What do you feel? Cablevision? Does even anybody is Cablevision even around anymore?
I have no idea.
I've never heard of some stupid company called Cablevision.
And there's been a lot of times I haven't liked their decision for head coaches over the last 20 years either. So,
well, Tom Thibodeau was pissing me off when he was doing press game conferences with his mask on, and you could tell he couldn't breathe. I'm like, just take the fucking mask off, Tom.
You're far enough away.
Yeah, you're 20 feet away. I think you're good.
No, I agree. And Tibbs was on the hot seat for a good while there. So his seat's still warm, too.
But they still have all this, like, I feel like they could make more moves than they didn't.
I agree. So the last topic, Fred VanVleet, after a game, I think it was like a few nights ago, said he will accept any fines and just went in on the officiating.
Good.
Especially the one referee, Ben Taylor.
Ben Taylor.
Hates Ben Taylor. And talked about
Tony Brothers, I'll tell you that.
True. Or Scott Foster.
Who's the hot chick? Oof.
I don't know any. If I know a ref's name, it's usually because it's a bad thing.
No, she's beautiful. I forget her name. Hold on a second.
While you're looking at that though, so Ben Taylor.
Ashley Boyer Gleich.
Ashley Moyer Gleich. I've never even heard of her name.
She's the one where Lucas said falling in love with you.
Okay. I know you're talking about.
She's beautiful. Like I'm sitting there watching, and I can't stop watching her.
And honestly, too, on top of that, she's a pretty good ref. I haven't seen any games that she's done that I'm like, that anything has happened where I'm like, damn, that is a terrible call.
Honestly, all these girl refs are good.
They are solid. I agree.
Yeah, honestly, like you don't ever see, like, I trust a lot of these. I trust all the women over, like, it's not. This is not me saying that I'm not exclusively putting women into their own category. I'm just saying that the argument would be people who say women shouldn't be reffing, blah, 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 all that bullshit. Yeah. I'm saying that I think they do a fantastic job, not just for being women, but they're just good officials, whether you're male, female, hermaphrodite, whatever.
Right.
And I enjoy it because I like looking at them.
That's a little icing on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Fred has talked about how most of his texts are from Ben Taylor. So I actually found on Reddit, this guy actually looked through all the games this season and found which games that Ben Taylor has given Fred VanVleet technicals, and it is true. So VanVleet has only gotten 8 technical fouls this season. And 5 of those 8 are from Ben Taylor. And not only that, but Ben Taylor has only reffed 6 out of the 67 games. He's only reffed a Raptors game in 6 of those games.
And he's given VanVleet 5 techs.
Yes.
So all but one game he's handed out a tech to VanVleet.
Yes.
He's got a case. The evidence is there.
He does have a case. And the thing is, the thing that's dumb to me too is like, I bet you Chris Paul probably could go say the same thing about Scott Foster. That whole thing with Chris Paul's like 1 in 30 or something in playoff games or games in general that Scott Foster refs that Chris Paul plays in. And there was a game that they even had him mic'd up and they said that Scott Foster even like bragged about his terrible record in games that he reffed. Which is like, that's kind of shady.
Well, you don't hear anybody saying that about Ashley Moyer.
That's true.
I mean,
and then Tony Brothers. I mean, everyone knows all the shit going on with Tony Brothers. Joey Crawford was another ref that had just, he had it out for a lot of different guys.
Yeah, but at least he was just a miserable prick to everybody.
True.
You know what
But I mean, it was to a point where David Stern suspended him a few games just because of the shit he pulled with Tim Duncan.
Well, he wasn't doing anything. He was just laughing, and he doesn't even know if he was laughing at. He still got teed up for just laughing.
I know. On the bench. Wasn't even in the game.
But you want to know something? Sometimes these refs, though, they get the amount of bitching and complaining these guys do. I don't blame them.
True. I mean, there are some times where I'm like, all right, you know what? I get it. But also at the same time, nobody comes to these fucking games to watch the refs. I hate the games that the refs take over. They call every little foul. They call every little this, every little that. The end of the game comes and they start calling ticky-tack fouls for no reason. Nobody gives a fuck about the officiating unless you miss something really big. So just call the game. Happen. Exactly. So just call the game and do normal shit. And the thing was, in that same Raptors game, I watched it. At the end of the game, they fouled Jakob Poeltl off the ball at the end of the game. The NBA put in that new hack-a-shack rule that if you foul somebody away from the ball, that team gets those 2 free throws and they get the ball back to get, like, so that the teams don't do that, like with Ben Simmons and shit. They didn't get the ball back.
Right.
Poeltl missed one of 2 or maybe even missed both, and they didn't get the ball back, and then they ended up losing the game.
I mean, the Raptors are garbage anyways, but still, it's principle, damn it.
Exactly. I'm like, if you're going to even make a new rule, at least follow your own damn rule.
But I'm glad he went up there and said something, though. Because
I am too.
Fred VanVleet's not annoying.
I agree. And then in a different post-game press conference, they asked Marcus Smart about officiating, and he said, I'm not going to say anything, but you guys heard what Fred VanVleet said? I agree with him.
Well, he didn't say anything, so he shouldn't get fined.
Exactly. And Andrew Cambria here says, shout out to Big Six.
What up?
But no, I agree. I'm glad somebody said something because
my man's right there. Good dude. Never calls me, but you know.
Call him, Andrew. Damn.
Call me. If you need insurance, though, he's a man to go to.
Okay. But I'm glad somebody said something because I feel like people just don't, like, obviously they don't want to get fined, but sometimes when the officiating is that shitty, you got to say something.
I'm glad he said something.
I agree. Andrew says you're very busy.
I'm not too busy for you.
See? Solutions.
Yeah. I'm just trying to stay away from them because I'm not ready to try to get life insurance yet.
Okay.
Unless I want to pay like $9 million a year, you know.
Makes sense. But yeah, I'm glad he said something. So, do you have a remember this guy or
yes.
anything to? Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. He is currently 42 years old.
Okay.
He is a one-time NBA All-Star.
One time. All right.
And to go on our trend from earlier, he is a white guy.
All right. Lines up.
He is European.
Okay. Ooh, and he's a one-time All-Star. Okay.
Yeah. He is a All-Defensive Player of the Year.
He's a Defensive Player of the Year, or he was on an All-Defensive team?
All-Defensive Player of the Year. He was a All-Defensive Player of the Year. So he was on the All-Defensive team.
Yeah, okay.
He's played in Eurobasket, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
He played in Russia.
Oh, wait, I have a guess. Andrei Kirilenko.
You got it.
Yes!
I'm going to have to get these tougher.
Well, so I started, like, The only thing that gave it away was Russia. Because I started thinking of a bunch of different Europeans, and I was trying to think of which ones were good at defense.
And he was great.
He was. AK-47, he was the man.
I'm gonna have to come up with. So far, I haven't stumped you yet, and I'm going to. Who did it? So I've had Michael Redd, and Buamonte.
Yeah, Mute took me a while to get. That one took me
But
the
this
longest.
Karolinko is probably the easiest one, but that's because I came out and said he was Russian. I think if I withheld that information, it would have been better.
Yeah, just because when I think of Russians in general, there's not that many Russians that have come to the NBA.
Right. As I say,
And
Andrei Karolinko, like our colors are like Ukraine.
yeah, and
I just realized that.
and so I started thinking, like, the moment you said 42 European white guy, I was like, maybe he's going with Andre Bargnani.
No, because don't worry.
But then
I'm
I
gonna
was
get you.
like, oh, maybe Turkoglu.
Stop naming guys because I'm going to come up with.
But then once you said Russian, I was like, the man, Andre Kirilenko.
I shouldn't have said Russian. Don't worry, I will get you next week.
I don't doubt that there's probably a handful of people out there that I just don't remember.
And just, it's not going to be Patrick Bass.
Patrick Bass?
Or what the fuck is his name? Patrick Bass.
The guy who used to play for the Celtics? The power forward? Bass?
No, not Patrick Bass. What the fuck's his first name?
Charles Bass? No, that's Charles Bassey.
Oh, to be continued. Maybe, well, I can tell you for this, it's not going to be Patrick Bass.
It's Bass. He played Brandon Bass.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. He played for Boston for a few seasons.
It's not going to be the musical artist Patrick Bass.
Muhammad gave you a suggestion here.
See, we're speaking the same language. Ashley Moyer is the universal language. You know, Muhammad and I she is, and I'm not even going to be like she's hot or she's just beautiful. She's too good to be. She is so pretty, it's not even funny. She's a good referee.
Going the classy route, I like it.
Well, she's very pretty, and yeah, I might sound a little crude and stuff, but I'm not a scumbag all the time.
No, for sure. Not all the time.
Hey, I have a daughter. I got to set a good example.
True. You definitely have to set a good example.
As I'm talking about John Morant banging chicks earlier.
Oh, Lord. Well, unless you have anything else to get off your chest, I think that's it for us.
No.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
I felt like I was interrupting you a lot, as I just did just now. But that's because whenever you bring up these idiots, I start getting mad, and then I can't stop.
I'm fine with it. That's okay.
I know, but I was rude, so I'm sorry.
I'll get my point out one way or another.
But we're not going to talk about Kyrie Irving for the rest of the season.
That's fine with me. Unless he does something drastic.
I don't even want to talk about him then.
Okay. I'm fine without talking about him, Durant, or Ben Simmons. I've talked about them enough.
At least if they get to the postseason, then we can discuss them. But we got like 2 weeks of the regular season. 3 weeks.
Agreed. But that's it for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching another episode of The Atlantic Files, the number one podcast.
Andrew Cambria for your insurance needs.
Yes. Hit them up. All your insurance needs, everybody, Andrew Cambria. Look them up.
Auto insurance, life insurance, renter's insurance, I'm sure.
I don't think he does Twitter porn insurance, so don't do that. But all the other insurances.
No, he does. I got a policy.
Oh, all right. There you go. That's why he's covered. But if you like your podcasts on audio platforms. Make sure you check us out. Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere you get those. We're also on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook live streaming. Every week when we do a new episode, we're on there. All of our videos go to YouTube, so you can check them out on there. Everything is under The Atlantic Files. So, thank you, everybody, for watching the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network, and we will catch you guys next week. Peace.